Hello there guys, so another K100 videos. A part arrived. This is it. Wasn't sure what to make of it on the listing, but it is metal and it is glass. It's got indicators, daytime running lights, high beam, low beam. There was reviews that said it's not great because it's open to the elements, which it is. But I'm not too fussed about that because I've got a plan in my head that would mean we were on the wiring out this way, but I'll get a grommet that's big enough for that. In fact, I might have something here, and then also we'll get a grommet that's big enough for that. So we'll make it watertight. I'm not planning on riding the bike in the rain. Obviously, you can't plan all the time, so I want to make sure it's still watertight. But for the price I paid for this, I'm happy. It's better than I was expecting it to be. We'll just see what it's like when it's actually fitted to the bike. Now, I've already started with the brackets. The brackets are too small for the bike, so I've had to put some long bolts in there. Now I'm hoping that I can either buy some proper brackets for upside down forks, or I can get someone to fabricate them for me. I might even be able to fabricate them myself. I know what the curvature needs to be, I know what it needs to look like, but whether I've got the capability of that, once again, I need a welder really. So let's get this on the bike. We're also, while we're here, hopefully going to start wiring up the ignition, as we've got a Yamaha R1 ignition now. So I don't want to waste a connector, but we'll probably just end up wiring it into the loom that's on the bike, because the connection which is here, I don't know if you can see it, it's very dodgy. Before we rewire, we can make it so that all works. I know it seems pointless because it's all going to come off again, but the more stuff I get like this, at the price I paid for this, yeah. And if you are watching this because it was linked in the Amazon review, then you can see how easy it's to fit, and I'll go through the wires as well. Let's crack on. Okay, so as you can see, the brackets are in and they're loose. That now gives us the opportunity to actually mount this headlight on. That one started. So is that one. So we need to make sure it's central. There we go, she's mounted. I like that. It actually gives me enough room to stick my Speedo here. Let's get it wired up. So the reason I want to change this plug anyway, which we're going to completely eliminate, is it's all green inside. So let's get rid of that. So what I normally use to strip wiring back is one of these. If it focuses. They're normally for sewing kits, but using it the correct way, you won't damage any of the wiring going through it, because you're hooking it on this end here. And now, here we go. So I do need to figure out which wire's which. This is only going to be a rough wiring, of course. Okay, so on mine, the white wire is high beam, yellow wire is low beam, brown is earth. So just need to figure out what these are. They are listed in the old instructions. Doesn't come with any instructions, but if you go to the listing for the headlight, the photos show you. I'm going to extend these, heat shrink them, and then I can loosely connect them in where I need them to go. That way we get a good idea of whether the headlight actually works. And yeah, I've got to rebuild the loom anyway, so I don't want to waste any wire. Right, I'm going to do a cardinal sin here. I'm going to be using these to do this. However, as I keep saying, this is only a temporary thing. It will be coming apart and being redone. Never use these on something great that would be open to the elements, as that is what's caused a lot of the wiring on this bike to go funny. Is somebody has been replacing it with this sort of stuff, and it doesn't go well with electrics because it's allowing moisture and everything to go in to it. What you really want to be using, which I showed in the last video, is these. Once you've crimped it, you heat it with a heat gun or a blowtorch, and it will shrink. And it heat shrinks around the actual wire. Stops any ingress of water or moisture. But what we've also got is this. Same things. Heat shrink around everything. So we know that we should be good. I will be using the ones that I don't like using. It saves me money by not having to use the stuff I actually want to use. And as I keep saying, it's just for testing. So they're all now stripped off. Cool, so that's all the terminal bits on for that one. So now we need to do the wire. Okay, so what I've done, I don't actually have any brown wire in that box, annoyingly, so I've had to use a black on a brown, but it's a completely different wire, so I know that it's a different one. That is my right-hand turn signal, and I forgot what the other ones are. So we just need to cable tie them together, feed them where I want them to go, just so I know for when I'm doing it. Luckily, I've got a little bag of mixed cable ties here that came with the wiring stuff. Let's feed this around there. Into here. Blue for dip beam. Okay, and then red is high beam. Right, so after lots of messing around, I've actually got somewhere. So the wiring diagram that's shown on the photo of the item, the headlight, shows that I think it was like black was the earth, which makes complete sense. Black or brown is generally the earth. That didn't work. Turns out green. Green is the earth. So if you're fitting this headlight, green's the earth. Now the way I found that out was inside there's a poorly bit of hot glue that it's not doing a lot. So yeah, that's what it's written on there, GND. So perfect, that's ground. But the rest of it is I can't understand what it's trying to say. But once I figured out that this was ground, that was fine, because after that I could play around. I've got a batch charger here that puts out a direct 12 volt feed, so I could 2 ground on that one and then put it to positive on the every other one and see what it was doing. So green is your ground, so that goes to an earth. Now originally I had it through the headlight earth, but I thought why not just give it a direct earth. So it's going to go to the body earth, if you like. At the moment it's after the battery. Then yellow is your right hand side indicator. Then black is your side light or daytime running light. Blue is your left hand indicator. I want to say black is your low beam and white is your high beam, or the other way around. White might be high beam. I can't remember what I said at the beginning of the video. I'll correct it on screen, but these black and white are your high and low. So yeah, it works. Really happy with that. We've also now got an ignition barrel put in there, so I'm going to move the camera and you can see the headlight in action. Before I do that, I thought I would show you these little beauties. They are indicator and side markers, so if I flick the ignition on, they light up. I like it. I don't know if I prefer it just being an indicator, because when you put it on, you can't really tell the difference. But, so, yeah, you can't really tell the difference. If I do this, I think that's better. I think that's better just having it as an indicator than having it as a side marker. I'm going to try and figure out a way of having it on a switch. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Let me know what you think in the comments, to be fair. Do you think it should just be an indicator, or do you think it should be a side light? So that's it fitted. Now I think that looks pretty smart for the price of the headlight. The fact, yes, I'm moaning a little bit about the electronics being wired up in a really bizarre way. Metal. Glass. A lot of the headlights you'll buy for the same price point won't be. They might be plastic without the glass. The whole thing might be plastic, no metal. So happy with that. We've also wired in the keys with the Motorworks keyring. So this is a R1 ignition barrel, obviously brand new. You can't tell if anything's coming on. There you go. Now I quite like that. So that's now working with the ignition key in the original Yamaha yoke. So that's another thing that works. The wiring is, well, as always, when I'm messing around with stuff like this, just putting it into a state to see how it works. And then I can start writing my own wiring loom out. So, we've got, that's your daytime running lights. That's your dip beam. Then we've got your flasher and main beam. It's really hard to get a good photo on the camera. And you can see there, it's got the indicator built in, which weirdly, that's looking 10 times better now than it did earlier. Wasn't too sure on it earlier. Oh, look at that. Something's changed. Something's happened. Because that is a lot more, I don't know, it's brighter. The camera's not doing it much justice, but it is definitely, you can definitely see it. And then if I do this, so yeah, yeah. Oh, that was the thing I'm not too sure about. So, okay. No, it's still just as bright. When you turn the side lights off, so it's just completely off, that's the downfall with it. I mean, it's bringing attention to yourself, don't get me wrong. But it just means that you'd always have it in that position, which is your side lights on. I can't check the beam as yet because it's a bit too light out here. So that's the installation of the headlight, mainly explaining about the wiring and, yeah, how we get to this point. Obviously, you didn't see me do any of these bits, but if you're not sure about how to do that, I wouldn't recommend doing it. Mainly if you're after the pin assignment, as it were, then yeah, at least you've got that now. The fitting of it, the brackets are too small for these. However, I've made it work. Just need to get some black bolts and some washers. Not the end of the world. The quality of the headlight is good. It's just that it needs a grommet behind it, which we will figure that out anyway. So yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.